So thank you for joining us today, Sabahat. And today we're going to be talking about how to build the dream team. So this is a conversation which is going to be relevant to different groups, including employers and employees. And I want to jump right in and ask you, the first question that these days in the Pakistani job market specifically, and specifically within the startup ecosystem, we've been seeing a lot of layoffs recently, right? So we're going through an economic crisis. Globally, things aren't looking that good. So when people are out there in the market now trying to look for jobs, right? The appropriate job, the best kind of job they can get. What are the top qualities do you think that any employer actually looks for in any employee?
It's an interesting question because I think where there is this challenge of laying off going on, there's a huge opportunity for people who actually want to, move into different directions and change their course of career as well. Globally, bhi yahi ho raha hai. Great resignation is coming in and people are moving. तो जो बड़ा एक natural question आता है कि okay, if I want to change my career, what is something that I can offer? Or what is the skill that I can? I think in today's world, the most important thing to understand about today's world is it's a VUCA world. It's volatile, it's uncertain, and it is changing at a very, very high speed. So you have to match it. And the first and most important skill for that, I would always recommend, is your adaptability quotient. How adaptable you are, how flexible you are. And that flexibility does not mean that, okay, I can work anywhere, so it's not about location or time anymore. It's about how flexible you are into growing yourself. What is your learnability of flexibility? So you are flexible in terms of accepting, I am not knowing this right now, but I will know it. I will grow into it. And knowing at the same time that learning is a painful process. So flexibility in all your approach towards your team, towards your working, towards time, towards your skill set, towards your mindset, towards I can do this versus I can't do. So can do attitude तो बहुत ही पुरानी चीज हो गई है, लेकिन I can do it or I can't do it yet, but I will do it is the most important, the first thing. Second is your sociability. How it's not about what big network do you have, how do you navigate your network? You don't have to really meet everyone every day because you have all these 24 hours only, but how can you actually navigate and know who are the right people who you can utilize or leverage the relationship with them at the right point? And that comes handy especially for technical people, because any technician, any technical mind cannot be know all. They know for some part of the technology, but some other part is with some other. So in order to make a great team, your team is not those only who work with you or under you or as part of your team member. The definition of team is expanding into your network, who you can leverage as a relationship. So your sociability or you may say adaptable sociability, that you can connect with people, you empathize with people, you know how to leverage their talent, is another skill. And the third skill I would say is your technical acumen. So technical acumen is much more important in terms of how quickly you are learning the new technology. The new generation, and that does not mean the generational generation, but upcoming new career people are much faster in learning the technology. And every day there is a change coming in. If you're not equipped to learning the new technology at a radar speed, then it is something that you really need to work on. And the last is your business acumen. Nowadays, whether you are a technical person, you're a business person, you're a commercial person, or whoever you are, you need to have business acumen. You need to know what business you are in, what is the business model, how you make money, and how the customer pay you, and how the customer will be continuing paying you. This is a very, very important aspect, because this will continually increase your profitability as a person. If you can leverage these 4 skills, then you are definitely those people who employer is looking for.
So Sabahat, we've talking about these skills now. My next question is for somebody who's watching this and they're looking for a job. What are the ways in which they can work to either improve or acquire these skills? Do they need to work in a job? Do they need to be more open to internships? Is this all this stuff only? Would they only learn it if they're at a job, or can they learn it during this career gap they might be experiencing?
Yeah, so a good technical or business acumen person is also a problem solver, right? So the problem that you put in front is, how do I learn it? They need to find ways how do they learn it. Everyone's learning style is different. It used to be first that internship, everyone should do the internship, and you will find a lot many people saying that you do the internship, but there are people who don't learn anything in the internship, but they actually learn it when they are actually on the job. And there are people who observe and learn, and there are people who learn through the actual classroom settings and then do the challenging projects to apply it. I believe that it depends on your career progression. If you're right starting your career, definitely go for areas where you want to take technical skills through a taught course and then apply it in a job. So that job role can be a temporary role, a project, a freelance position, or an intern. But you need to have the nose and in and out of those technical skills known to you and then apply it. Learning on the go is very, very important. So if you are in a job, already landed in a job, you can always uh, do some additional projects, um, make some additional flows for you, maybe an income flow for you, or do freelancing as well, which will give you a lot of insights about how it works.
So now that we've spoken about the employees and what they can do, I want to kind of shift the table to talking about the employers. So do you think that in Pakistan, do you see that more employers and more companies have started investing in their employees in terms of their learning and development? Or do you still think that there is a large gap which needs to be covered?
It's 50-50. So there are organizations which are really serious about large organizations, mostly the MNCs and even the local companies, which are investing heavily on employees. But a larger shift in learning is now happening, and that is not only the employer investing into the learning or the trainings or courses or certification. The shift is how serious the employee is into using those tools. So a lot many organizations are moving towards pull-based training. What they do is they provide you an LMS, they provide you a platform where all e-learning courses are available. Your entire calendar is booked, your learning paths are there, your courses are chosen for you, conferences are available for you. But it depends largely on the employee whether they book that, they want to do this or not. So there is a you may say a minute shift in terms of investing. Yes, many organizations are investing into developing employees, but at the same time they're expecting employees to focus on their own development and pull the training that they want to do, rather than doing an age old method कि जी अब सबने ये वाली करनी है, push based training की एक training assign हो गई और वो सारी organization ने करनी है. It is not working. A more personalization and the world is moving toward hyper personalization as well. The training that is good for me may not be good for you. So organizations are going towards hyper personalized positions, hyper personalized trainings, and the employee's job is to make sure that that platform is available and they use it.
So Sabahat, another question, and today's topic is, building the dream team. So I've, often seen even in my age group that we are not taught how to work in a team. We're always, we're very individualistic. We think about what will benefit us, and we're also, I've also seen people in leadership positions not being very good at delegation. So what do you think are the key elements that are necessary to build a really good team and for them to be most efficient and most productive?
The first thing that we need to understand is what is a dream team. So the basics of the dream team is it's a diverse group of people who come together for a common outcome or for a common project. The core or the keyword here is diverse, which means that everybody brings their individuality here. So yes, at one point you are groomed to work individually, but later on you can develop yourself to work together with other people while keeping your individuality together. What happens in a corporate culture is that we assumed wrongly that team means that everyone work together, everyone needs to agree on, everyone need to a group thing develop, and there are no diversity of the thoughts that are applicable. So now you see there are people who are there are teams who are consisting of all men, all women, all people from same school, all people from same area. So this actually kills the concept of dream team. Now at the same time, when you are maintaining your individuality, the most important area you need to understand, or anybody who wants to work on team is understanding, is that I told you about 4 skill set. If you have adaptability, sociability, and you are able to link with people, how I benefit the core purpose or the business, that I understand the business, then you would be able to bring the best on the table. As a leader of that team, it is important that you understand that the team does not actually want to only focus on the delivery. They need to come together to to an understanding of the delivery as well. Because if they don't come together and understand the entire process, the own the entire process, the delivery will not be as efficient as you expect, because everyone is bringing their individuality, they want to work together, but at the same time their big picture is not clear. So for the key ingredients for dream team is having the individual uh, mindset, diverse team, having the having people who have their own opinion, who actually can bring the best on the table, and also who are good in understanding the big picture.
Okay, so Sabahat, now we've been talking overall about these are aspects which are relevant to different industries and different different people and different teams as well overall. So do you think that there is a difference in the kind of job market or the industry that you are applying to? Are some skills more industry specific? Like, let's talk about maybe the IT industry. We see that we've recently seen there's a big IT boom in Pakistan and it's growing exponentially. People have started doing a lot of freelancing as well because they're self-learning through different courses that are available. So for let's say the IT industry, are the problems and the solutions going to be different, and do we need a more catered solution to that specifically, or the things you have mentioned, will they apply here as well?
Yeah, so I think employability practices are changing a lot. It differs from industry sizes as well, and the majority of the industry too, because MNCs and large organizations which are working in a long term, whether it's a local or an MNC, both companies are thinking in terms of perpetuity, in terms of 3-year or 5-year deliveries. There are projects which are part of the big picture, but the overall uh, organization stability is always thinking in the long term. Startup, on the other hand, are setting up their processes. So there will be needs coming out, or the projects coming out for supporting the purpose of setting up the startup, of supporting whichever stage the startup is at. So from there, the thinking is developed, and employability comes from there as well. It does not mean that nobody, whoever is joining a startup, should only think कि भाई मैं तो यहाँ पर 1-2 साल काम करूँगा. It does not mean that there is no job security. but the thinking method is there. So startup in its term of employability, it's agile. So they think in terms of small workable teams which deliver the project and move to the next step and move to the next step, and they continue adding the value. Whereas in a large organization, very few organizations have developed the capability of continuing with the value addition activities, and lot many processes, red ribbons and bureaucracies go on adding into their processes as the companies grow larger. So when it comes to making a team in from the employee side, I think there is a great shift. People are thinking of joining startups because there is more excitement there. It's more, the agility brings in more opportunities, and there is a concept of innovating fast, so they can actually are enjoying that excitement. Whereas there is also a shift from um, startup layoffs to going back into the MNCs and in the larger scale. But when it comes to the IT industry, IT is a very typical industry, and I experience it myself as well, that in IT, the mindset of people is even more, not in terms of agile, but in terms of projects, very, very short term. That is something which is not really changing over the period of time, whether it comes to the technical startups or in IT companies. I have been mentoring a lot of startups as well, and the one thing that I have continuously noticing, that the same culture of short-term approach, delivery of the project, and then not having a concern over quality, over the longevity, over the big picture, is something that is not good. But वो अब IT से culture का हिस्सा बन चुकी है, because typically there is a project team. I am afraid that this is not automatically absorbed into the startup culture as well, because it didn't help them. It didn't bring in the new innovation in IT. Rather, it become a liability for them, because turnover is increasing, and because there is a dearth of the right talented people, and because of this shift. So this should not be the direct hereditary or the inheritance from IT to all startups are not technical startups, but still it should not be the case. But I'm afraid it is coming there.
And Sabahat, even with, I feel like the younger generation specifically, we've seen job hopping is one thing very common. And I think even in the market, people are very hesitant about, hiring a good resource, because if in their CV they see that, they've stayed in the place for just a year or 6 months, that's not really perceived well. So what do you have to say about that? Do you think that one should be open to new opportunities irrespective of the time, or do you think once you land a job, you need to give it some good time and be a little loyal to that company, as people say, for it to get good rewards?
It's a good debate, actually. So what has happened is that while technology department and in large organizations, in IT companies and technology startups have become agile, the processes of HR and supply chain, all that, and administration remained so quite much of the waterfall. Okay, and people have been thinking about the older ways. तभी आप देखो तो अभी भी reward practices में बताते हैं कि जी आपको salary मिलेगी तो आपको provident fund मिलेगा और ये मिलेगा. Nobody thinks of retiring from the same position anymore. So ये थोड़ी सी practicing गलत भी है, that we want an employee to come and have a very, very long relationship of 20-21 years. It doesn't work that way now. People do not have that much patience. At the same time, too much job hopping is not good as well. So there's a fine balance. I always say that if there is an opportunity where you're actually growing, not in terms of the title only. So I've seen many people who have worked as assistant manager in one organization and then moved to the head of something in another organization. That's not a good jump. That's not a good start, because you lost the opportunity to learn to that level. of growing to that level. However, if an organization which is ready to invest in you and grow you into a meaningful role, stay there. But staying on at the cost of your mental health, at the cost of your happiness at work, I won't bother with that or employer. I would always go for, okay, look for it, because at the end of the day, you are loyal to the company if you are delivering value. If you're not mentally healthy there, if you're not happy there, you will not add value. You will become a liability onto them. Why become a liability on an employer who is already struggling with all this economical factors? So job, there's a difference in changing the job quickly in a year, 2 year, or 3 year with a growth in your CV. But job hopping as a, अच्छा इसने मुझे ये दिया तो मैं इधर चला गया, इसने मुझे ये दिया तो चला गया, that's wrong. That's not that, tells you that you're not consistent. So a bit of consistency, but obviously a larger care for your own value addition to the organization is very important.
And Sabahat, my last question to you is going to be about, relevant to the startups ecosystem again, and talking about entrepreneurs. So, for those entrepreneurs who are watching right now, who are also working to build their dream team, they're at the very initial stages, of that long ladder to climb. What would be, any advice given your extensive experience that you'd have for them?
I think this is the very interesting stage. And in this stage, everybody who is, and it goes for other people as well, but especially for entrepreneurs, you build the team to grow you. So if you hire people who are like you will not be able to grow. This is the most difficult decision, to hire someone or to make someone partner of in your team who is better than you. But at the end of the day, you need to come out of this fear that this is my startup, this is my entrepreneurial effort, and I should be the boss here. This is the difference that all of us who are coming into the entrepreneurial market, they need to come up with this mindset that I need to hire people who are smarter than me, who are better than me, who can take my idea to flourish. You can't hire people who are like you and think, okay, hum grow kar jayenge. Because you have to be aware of what are the areas which you lack, what are the people you need to bring in, जो कि आपके आइडिया को आगे लेके चलेंगे. And these are the people who are convinced by your idea, who are invested in your idea as you are invested. It takes time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of sincerity as well. But especially in terms of entrepreneurial effort, solo flights do not last long. You have to build up a reliable, consistent team who keep on delivering on your idea. But at the same time, in order to reach to that team, you need to accept and evolve into understanding what are the deficiencies in myself and find people who are better than me so that they can take me there further. If they are like me, we all will be struggling together, and there's no fun in struggling together, reaching out nowhere.
Absolutely, and I think that's a really good advice. To end this session on it. It requires a lot of self-awareness and also a lot of trust to trust yourself, but also trust the other person to let them grow with you.
Yes, and not being judgmental about it, that someone is coming with the mindset to ye mera idea leke bhag jayega. Idea is no good, your execution is yours. You need to trust in people, you need to bring in people. I can't emphasize more on this. Find people who are better in doing what you're doing. जितना आप उधर learn करेंगे, you don't know anything. You have good idea, but you don't know everything about that idea. This acceptability is very, very important.
Absolutely. With that, I'd like to thank you, Sabahat, for joining us today and taking out the time from your very busy schedule and a lot of traveling as well. We hope to continue such conversations with you moving forward.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle, and I apologize for so many disturbance
No
during
worries.
that. Thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.